Thank you very much for coming. I would like to introduce Alejandra Boni Aristizabal. Yo debería saber pronunciar mejor ya estos nombres básicos, pero todavía sale. Viene en tiempo. Hello, welcome. We were just losing the hope that your meeting would finish in time, but then, great. Thank you for coming. So I was just introducing Professor Alejandra Boni Aristizabal. She's Deputy Director of the Center Ingenio in Valencia. She has a PhD in Human Rights and Democracy from the University of Valencia. She is full professor at the Universitat Politècnica of València, UPV, the real UPV. Not UPV, and Deputy Director of Ingenio, as I said, which is a CSIC-UPV mixed center. And she is extraordinary professor of the University of the Free State of South Africa and co-academic. I think there was so of the TIPC, co-director, okay. Co-director of the Transformative Innovation Policy Consortium, called the TIPC.
I'm going to present right.
Yeah,
that's right. The presentation.
It's an international consortium of leading European research institutes and national countries working on science, technology, and innovation policy. Well, the title of the presentation is there, Transformative Innovation Policy for a Social and Environmental Sustainability. Thank you very much for coming.
Well, thanks to you, Sergio, for the invitation. Thanks to all of you for being here. I think it's a very nice environment. Also in my institute, we are preparing a Maria de Maestro proposal. So it's very interesting to be here and listen from you the experience of being an excellent center. And so it's on both sides is super interesting. Okay, I'm going to introduce a little bit the Transformative Innovation Policy Consortium, because all of that came from this international group. It's a strange thing because it's a mix of national agencies of innovation and now even regional and local agencies of innovation and research institute. Ingenio is part of TIPC, together with SPRU, the Science Policy Research Unit at the University of Sussex in the United Kingdom, and Utrecht, the Center for Global Challenges at Utrecht University in the Netherlands. So it's 3 research partners and members, which are at the moment the CSIC from Panama, the DSI from South Africa, Vinova from Sweden, and also associate members, the Catalonia regional government, and new members that will join, I think, very soon, which is the province of Utrecht, department in Colombia, the Cordoba department, and also probably, well, almost sure, governments from Ghana, Malawi, Botswana, and Taiwan. So this is more or less what is TIPC, these Transformative Innovation Policy Consortiums. Here you have a web page if you're interested. So you can see there are a lot of resources also for use the TIPC methodologies. I'm going to explain a little bit what we do. We work together with these national partners, but we have methodologies, we have a resource lab. We also do a lot of learning series when we talk about what we're doing and invite people. So this is more or less what is TIPC. This is, well, the goals. The idea is to redirect narrative for science, technology, and innovation policy away from a focus on economic growth, which is the mainstreaming understanding of innovation, but with a focus on transformation and SDGs. Also, we are building experiments or demonstrators on how to approach, implement, and evaluate transformative innovation policy with a particular methodology we have developed together. And the idea is to generate a network of people or organizations working in this similar understanding across the globe. I'm going to explain a bit some theoretical key elements of the transformative innovation policy understanding. In the area of transformative innovation policy, well, when TIPC started 6 years ago, the idea of transformative innovation policy was not so popular. At the moment, many people, many organizations, many agencies are talking about transformative innovation policy. So this is the understanding of transformative innovation policy developed by us. But there are other understanding. Probably the lines in your work are, well, you will see similarities, but also different from our understanding. So I'm going to explain how we understand transformative innovation policy. So this is based in transition studies, and one main idea of this transition understanding is to meet the SDGs or whatever social and environmental challenges. We have to change in a very profound way, deep way, socio-technical systems. This is different from others' understanding of transition, which are more based on socio-ecological transformation. No? And we are talking about transformation of socio-technical system. A socio-technical system is a system, water system, energy system, health system, mobility system, all of that can be understood as socio-technical systems. And socio-technical systems have different elements. So it's a systemic approach. When we want to transform and change a socio-technical system, we have to pay attention to industry, to markets, to values, policy, to knowledge. So different elements, no, that compose a socio-technical system in these different domains. No? And the idea, the main assumption, this is all this came from historians that have analyzed and see how technical changes are happening through the history. No? Change, for instance, in mobility from something based on horses and animals to something based on cars. This is a big technological change. And they have analyzed all these changes. And at the end, the change is not only about technology, replacing a horse for a car, but is a deep change about social and cultural values and mindsets. So this is the main assumption that is behind all of that. So technology can be an entry point, but it's not the only element of a system, dimension of a system that should be changed. And in this change about social and cultural shifts, we talk about rules or routines. No? Routines are the way in which we behave and the way in which we use energy, the way in which we use mobility, the way in which we understand health. So it's not enough to replace fuel, energy based on fuel consumption to renewable energy, but we have to change our way of understanding energy and understand that it's not a limited good, it is connected with nature. So this is the kind of profound changes that are behind this theory of transformation, more or less, in a very quick way. There is a paper, Johan Schott is the founder of the Transformative Innovation Policy Consortium, and Ed Steinmuller was a professor in SPRU, and they have a very, in the innovation domain, a very quoted paper about the 3 frames for innovation policy. And frame one is the understanding of innovation policy based in, if we have research and development and innovation, we will accomplish economic growth, and from or with the economic growth, we can invest in public welfare and clean environment, but the main goal is economic growth. This is the frame one, and it's something that starts many years ago, but is still present. No? If I analyze some goals of innovation agency, you can see this trend one at the moment. So it's not only that something that passed many years ago, but is still there. The second frame is the system innovation. We say, okay, we have to provoke interaction between actors. So it's the triple helix understanding, more or less, no? Industry plus academia plus governments all together, they can develop some research and development and innovation, but always with this idea of economic growth as a main goal of this system innovation. And this is the frame 2. Still present at the moment, so it's still there. And the frame 3 is, well, we need research and development innovation to confront environmental and societal challenges. That's the first goal. And from that, we will get some public welfare, we could improve the quality of life of people, we can improve environments, and we can generate economic growth from that. But it will be a different economic growth, not the traditional one as has been understood by the frame 1 and frame 2. So this is more or less the idea of these 3 frameworks of innovation. So we work in this frame 3, no? The idea of transformative innovation policy is a policy that adopts the frame 3 of innovation, but the other 2 are there. So it's not a replacement, it's something that it coexists. And you can see when we do experiment with Innova, for instance, or with South Africa, you can see that in Innova, there are other divisions, other groups that are using frame 2, but maybe others are doing experimentation in frame 3. So this is more or less the idea of introducing transformative innovation policy inside these innovation agents. And you have an open access this paper if you are interested, or in the webpage of TIPC, you can find a lot of resources. So in this frame 3, societal challenges as the SDGs, but could be other ones. Myself, I have some critiques against the SDGs, but you can see in policy, many times they are used as the starting point to rethink or to introduce the transformative innovation policy. We have to transform this idea of socio-technical system, and this is an interesting element. It's a systemic approach. So if you enter through the technology, you have to consider the other dimension of the system, no? The policy, culture, knowledge creation, market, industries, all of that is connected. And for a deep transformation, you have to change the different elements, or at least doing something, no? With the different dimension of the system. So it has this systemic approach. It came from transition theory, transition management, mismanagement, experimentation, but also have elements of inclusive innovation, social innovation, grassroots innovation, responsible research and innovation. All of these things are connected with this idea of transformative innovation policy. And this idea, which I think is very profound, and is a different between other approaches, as I don't know if you're familiar with Maria Mazzucato. She's an economist at the moment from UCL. And if you see what's mission-oriented policy, trained by Maria Mazzucato and other colleagues, they put the state or the government as one of the main actors of the transformation. And in this understanding, the governments are not the main actors, they are the facilitators. But where transformation is emerging is not into the government, so from the government, it's from the innovators could be grassroots innovators, social innovators, other kind of innovators, or innovators inside academia. But it's not the government who is the main actor of innovation. It's an actor that facilitates and modulates change. And this is a difference between other approaches of transformative innovation policy, of the one from Maria Mazzucato. I'm going to explain it a bit more. Has a strong focus on local and regional starting point for niche development experimentation. It should be coordinated with other sectoral policies, like social policies, tax policies, etc. This is a representation of where is the place of transformative innovation policy, something that we developed together with some other people from the other institutions. And if we place innovation or transformative innovation at the center, we can think on some SDGs that can represent the social technical areas or potential areas of application of transformative innovation policy, as can be education, culture, land, seas, etc. And others SDGs can represent directionality. If we transform this area, this social technical system, this transformation should be framed with that directionality, poverty, gender equity, inclusion, climate change, etc. And other SDGs can be understood as framework condition. No? We need peaceful and justice institutions, we need networks, etc., partnerships. And this is an idea of we need that to transform the system in that direction. This was an attempt to reflect on the SDGs and the role that transformative innovation policy can play. This is another element of theory. This is the multi-level perspective or socio-technical transition framework developed by different scholars, mainly in the Netherlands, but not only. And many of them were historians, no, that analyze change through history. And in a very brief way, an introductory way, because it's there's a lot of complexity behind this, a lot of studies. But the main idea is we have regimes, and regimes are a representation of socio-technical systems that are dominant. We have a regime of energy, of health, of culture, of food, etc. No? And these regimes are populated by actors, actors that are the dominant actors. If we think in the energy system, or big companies, the oligopolies or oligopoly of energy, plus governments, plus other scientific institutions, etc., etc. So those are the regime actors. Here there are the niches. A niche is a space. It's a space where different innovations, different proposals are being developed. No? In the energy system could be energy communities. In Spain, comunidades energéticas, no? Group of people that work together to be self-sustained, etc. Could be other people that innovate in technology, could be cooperatives. So in this niche space is where all actors are developing novelties and different technologies and different kind of knowledge, etc. And then the third element is the landscape. Landscape is the mega trends. That could be climate change is a feature of our landscape. Could be the war in Ukraine, for instance, or now in Palestine. Could be migration, could be urbanization, globalization, are mega trends and shocks, even wars and some shocks. And what the history shows is when the regime is pressured by the landscape, because of these trends and shocks, and there are some opportunities, so the regime destabilize. It's difficult. The regime destabilize because the pressure of the landscape, and if the niches are mature, they can even form or configure a new regime, or even they can take the opportunity and scale and try to develop different practices. So this is more or less what the multi-level perspective is. So the idea is through policy, through the transformative innovation policy, you have to help this. So the development of this innovation at niche scale, and also the scaling up of the niche innovation. This is more or less the idea of the transformative innovation policy. But the policy is a facilitator, so it's not the main actor is an important actor, of course, because many times you need some protection, no? You need some building these niches, but where the innovation is here at niche level. So this is more or less what the multi-level perspective say in a very brief way. Those are some principles when we work together with governments, some principles to take into account when we try to develop this experimentation. We pay attention to directionality, so innovation has a directionality, and we have to consider different alternatives. Address societal goals. You can take the SDGs as a framework, no, to identify societal goals, but other goals always related with social and environmental justice. This is important. The systemic impact, so take into account different dimensions of a system, because the main assumption is changing rules, no? These ways, these mindsets. We have to stress learning and reflexivity. Later on, I'm going to explain the formative evaluation methodology, and we'll see that the learning and reflexivity is super central in this approach. We can expect conflicts because transition, transformation are, they are confronted in different ways, different views, and we have to embrace this and work with that. And also, we have to pay attention to inclusiveness. So a difference between the system innovation and the research and development, the frame 1 and frame 2, that you have to incorporate in this transformative innovation policy actors that have not always been there in innovation. This group of people, consumers, so different society, civil society actors, so other groups of people that have not normally been in innovation process. This is some ideas to develop this. This is the idea of an experiment. We talk about experiment. Of course, it's not the ICE experiment that Sergio is doing. So it's the idea is the intervention should bring, or produce more transition, more transformation. We have introduced the notion of experimental policy engagement in TIPC, to avoid the idea that the transition process begins and ends with policy intervention. There is a process of change, and then we have to intervene, focus in this process of change. And we need to understand the transition process and the contribution of policy or investment in this case, because we are working with investors to this process. And the second element is the learning component. So we pay attention to the learning development of those involved in the experiment. That could be the core team of the experiment and other stakeholders. And this experimentation should help to build a transformative mindset, set of capacities and capabilities, and upscaling. So two components, the contribution to the transition process, the intervention, but also the learning development. These two main ideas of experiment. Those are some experimentation that we conducted in TIPC. TIPC started in 2017, and now we are in the second phase. So we did experimentation at the level of policy with the Colombian government, with the Vinnova, the Swedish agency. Some experiments are long experiments, maybe 1 year and a half or 2 years. Others are shorter experiments. Now in Panama, it's starting another experimentation, mission-oriented policy. In Catalonia, we are working a lot with the Catalan government at the level of regional policy, with the specialization policy. Also, we work in some programs with Climate Kick, with Colombia, and at project level in South Africa, and different elements of, I didn't mention, but also in TIPC, there are hubs. There is a Latin American hub, an African hub, and we are developing a European hub together with a research organization. So it's not only the core members and partners, but also some different hubs that are doing experimentation and learning and changes. Ingenio, in particular, developed the idea of formative evaluation as a methodology. No? So I think the big contribution of Ingenio during this TIPC phase 1 has been the development of the formative evaluation methodology. When you approach governments with this idea of transformative innovation policy, many governments are asking about evaluation. So, okay, we do that, but we want to know how to evaluate that. This is a demand that came a lot from the policymakers. So we developed this idea together with the governments, of course, this idea of formative evaluation. We understand evaluation as a formative and strategic dimension of could be a project, program, or policy. It's because it's on transformative innovation policy. Evaluation should be informed by transformative innovation policy principles, should be participatory, should be inclusive, and learning and capacity are central elements of this transformative evaluation and should be developed among the participants. There are more papers that explain with more detail all these ideas. Here are some elements. So this understanding of evaluation is not only the typical evaluation that happens at the end of a policy cycle. It's something that starts from the beginning because it's something that you can use this idea of transformative innovation policy to design the intervention, to do the monitoring and the evaluation of the intervention. We use transformative outcomes. I'm going to explain a little bit what are these transformative outcomes. Learning is central in this approach of formative evaluation. We aim for a particular kind of learning named second-order learning or deep learning, because it's the learning that really challenges your values, your mindset, your approaches. So this is one of the main elements. We use theories of change, this particular methodology, but in a very flexible way, and also we think that ideally, a policy, a program, and a project could be nested and related. Those are the transformative outcomes. That this idea is another theoretical element. So in this formative evaluation is participatory, but also is informed by theory. So this transformative outcome came from the multi-level perspective I presented before. And the idea is you can intervene during using the transformative innovation policy, doing a niche building. And in that case, you have to try to shielding, learning, networking, or working on expectation dynamics of the niche. This is an intervention point. The second intervention point is niche expansion, and embedding, which is upscaling, replication, circulation. So you try to upscale the niche, and also you can work in this another area, which is try to destabilize and open regimes. So not only intervene at the niche level, but also try to change and try to open the regime to provoke an upscaling and expansion of niches. Those are elements, and we use those elements when we work doing our formative evaluation methodology. This is more or less how but I think, Sergio, I don't have so much time, so I'm going to skip the details of how we do that. If someone is interested, we can have further change. And here are some examples. This is what we did together with Vinova. In Vinova, it was a long engagement. We started in December 2019 and it finished in March 2022. It's not usual to work such a long period of time, but also COVID happened in the middle and was a real challenge and something that slowed a little bit our intervention. And then we work on school food mission. And that was the idea of working with Vinova. And in the group of people that participate in this engagement were managers and policymakers, and we worked together for this period of time. There is a paper recently published about that, and also some information on the website of TIPC. This is the engagement with Climate Kick, and this is a representation of theory of change. So more or less, when we work together doing this experimentation, we produce this kind of theories of change, and all these waves, but waves. Each wave is a pathway, and also some bubbles can be the transformative outcomes that we identify during this period of change together with Climate Kick. And here we work with 3 different projects granted by Climate Kick on nature-based solution, shared mobility, and urban and rural landscape. And it was an engagement between 2020 and 2021, even also during the COVID period. This is a project in South Africa with the South African Department for Science and other national and local stakeholders, and was about water catchment to strengthen the enabling environment for water governance in South Africa and encourage community of practice, co-learning, etc. And this is the representation of the field of change we developed together with this group of people that were more practitioners. So it not always is the same group of people. In Vinova were policy analysts or members of the staff of Vinova. In Climate Kick were people working in different projects granted by Climate Kick. And in the living catchment were more practitioners work at the level of catchments, no? Or, in different areas of South Africa. This is what we are doing in Catalonia. This is an ongoing project. This is a representation of the theory of change we developed with people in Lleida. So you can see that the representation of theory of change are different, and it's something that is co-produced together with local actors. And here, what we are doing with the Catalonia government is to try to help them to reinterpret the smart specialization policies that the Catalan government is doing, and they are supporting what they call shared agendas, that are like experiments at the local level with group of people that want to change some system. No? They have shared agenda in the health environment in Manresa. Also, they have shared agendas in the bioeconomy field in Lleida, and a shared agenda on a particular university, which is the Universitat Politècnica de València. So to rethink university. And you have a paper on one of the examples on the health system. And to finish more or less this introduction, we also reflect, no? Because we say, okay, we have to change values, mindset, and we want to do formative evaluation, and also we have to reflect ourselves in what we are doing, not to be consistent to our own methodology. I think it's a matter of coherence and consistency. And this is the learning history we produce, reflecting on in this first phase of TIPC, 2016, 2022. And those are some, findings or big reflection, no? The main one is the relevance of understanding each other at the beginning of the experimentation. This is something that sometimes we don't pay attention to, this moment of building trust, sharing expectations, sharing interest. And this is super important. And we have seen in Vinova was a big, so at the beginning, we start doing our formative evaluation methodology, but we arrive at some point that we didn't understand each other. So we have to start again and build this trust, relationship, understanding. And this is very important. And sometimes you don't have time during the engagement to develop this kind of understanding, mutual recognition, but it's something that you need to pay attention. Also, from the research perspective, it's difficult because you need to know the theory, no? Because there are some elements of transition theory that you have to apply, but also you need to be a facilitator. You need to, so it's what we say, what a policymaker requires, a researcher with multiple capabilities. And it's not something that you can take for granted. When you bring someone to the team, this is something that you have to take into account. And from the other side, what researchers need? A policymaker open to broad change with good leadership and facilitation skills. Not all the policymakers have this real mindset. So they should be open open to change, open to failure, because we are doing an experimentation, so we are not sure. No? There is not a guarantee that we accomplish this or this. It's more a process, and also a policymaker that is able to move into the policy space. Also, the context is super changing. Now in Catalonia, they have new elections. So in May, in 2 months, and what we have planned before or happening in April, maybe it's not going to happen at the moment because they have a new context and then we have to adapt ourselves. So this is important. Also, the relevance of inclusion, leaving no one behind. So it's, if we want to be inclusive, that's what does it mean, no? In the real practice, you have to bring stakeholders, other actors, but that's not normally there in experimentation. The challenges of adapting the methodology, because this is not always, this is not working the same way in each and every case, and also the relevance and difficulties of using transformative outcomes and years of change in formative evaluation. So this is a challenge. More or less, that's all. We have an introduction of what we are doing in different settings. Thank you.